Hello everyone, and welcome to the first video in Pandaween 2023. If you are new here and you don't know what Pandaween is, it is basically where I do Halloween and like spooky themed videos all throughout the month of October in preparation for Halloween. Today's video is going to be something that I actually did a few years ago now. I did a video where I rated anime themed Halloween costumes from a couple different websites, and I thought that since there are now new anime-themed Halloween costumes out there, it took a little while for them to like make new ones that I hadn't reviewed yet, but now they have a whole bunch of ones that I haven't gotten to review. So I wanted to do a part 2 to that video. So that's what this is going to be. And yeah, so without any further ado, let's get into it. So last time I did this video, I took Halloween costume images from two different websites. So they were halloweencostumes.ca and spirithalloween.com. And Spirit Halloween actually has like next to no anime Halloween costumes this year, but halloweencostumes.ca has like a whole bunch of new ones. So that is the only website that these images are going to be coming from this year. Just in case maybe like you see one that maybe you like and you'd like to track it down, that's the website that these are from. I'm not sponsored by halloweencostumes.ca. I'm just taking images from their website and giving my thoughts on them. So anyway, so the first one we have is Tuxedo Mask. And if you remember last time I did my rating Halloween costumes video, they had a whole bunch of Sailor Moon ones. And this is the newest addition to that line. And honestly, I think this looks pretty darn good. The only thing that's really weakening it for me is the mask. The mask looks like it's just made out of like pleather with some mesh in it, and it's held on by an elastic band. But aside from that, everything looks really crisp, really quite nice. This actually looks like it could be worn to a convention if you wanted to wear it as a cosplay and not just a Halloween costume. And it looks like nicely fitted to the model. The materials actually look really good. They're not like overly cheap looking, and they look like they have a good structure to them. So I actually am gonna give this like an 8 out of 10. Pretty impressed by that one overall, especially with how Halloween costumes go. Okay, the next one is Shinobu, and this would be fine if it wasn't advertised as like the full cosplay. So they don't just advertise it as the robe, they advertise it as like the full costume, and it only comes with the robe. As far as the robe goes, I really like that they have the little butterflies on it. I think that's a really nice touch. That's something that isn't like in any pre-made cosplays that I've seen for Shinobu. It's just a really nice touch given her character. Overall, the gradient looks really good. The pattern is like accurate to the character. I guess what I would say is that there's not like a whole lot of dimension to it, which could be good, could be bad. Like some Shinobu outfits that are cosplays, not Halloween costumes. And I could be like looking way too far into this for a Halloween costume, but the materials that they use sometimes have like a pattern like embroidered onto the fabric, and then on top of that they print the actual like pattern and everything, like the gradient and the lines for like the butterfly wings and everything like that. And that's really nice to add dimension. And I think they were already adding dimension by adding the butterflies to it, so it would have been really nice if they had added maybe some like extra dimension, but at the same time, this is a Halloween costume, so the stakes are very low. I kind of give this 2 different ratings. If it was just advertised as being that one piece, then I would maybe like rate like a 7 out of 10, because it's not like the best one that I've seen, but I do like that it has the little butterflies on it. But since this is advertised as being the full costume when it is not, I would give it a 5 out of 10, because it's like half complete, right? It's just one part of the costume. It doesn't come with the sword. That's just for the model to hold in the photo. So yeah, overall I give this a 5 out of 10, just because it's just not the full outfit, and they're advertising it as being the full outfit. Next we have Nezuko, and honestly, okay, so looking at this, I am actually very impressed. This looks like it could be sold by a cosplay store, not just like a Halloween costume store. It looks like something you could definitely wear to a convention. I'd be interested to see what the closure is like for the kimono, like whether it goes like an actual kimono, or if it has like Velcro, or if it has like snaps or something. Snaps would be better than Velcro, but Velcro would be more typical of a Halloween costume, but I can't really judge it based off of that because I don't know. So just based on what I'm looking at, it looks really good. It's canon to her design, aside from the fact that it doesn't have the leg wraps, and then it looks actually quite solidly made. Also, the like bamboo like muzzle thingy looks like it's made out of actual plastic, which is awesome because a lot of the ones that come with like cosplays are just made out of fabric, which is like really not great. Like it doesn't look good, and it probably isn't great because like you're putting that in your mouth and you're gonna get like drool all over the fabric, and then it like seeps into the fabric. Like it's a whole thing. So the fact that they've made this out of actual plastic is really, really nice. So overall, I actually give this, I can't give it like a full mark because it doesn't have the leg wraps, but I would give it like probably an 8 out of 10. That extra two points is just because they don't have the leg wraps. But aside from that, it all checks the boxes that I look for with these costumes. Next, we have Deku from My Hero Academia, and okay, so I'm gonna explain why I don't like this costume. Right off the bat, I can tell it's made out of like that spongy, polyester-y material. If you've ever had a Halloween costume, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like the best way that I can describe it is being spongy. It's like a spongy, foamy kind of fabric. They use that because it's obviously really cheap and it keeps the structure. And what it looks like is that it's just an ill-fitting bodysuit with everything printed on, made out of that kind of material, which is not optimal. That's gonna fall apart really easily because it's a very cheap material. It's gonna pill really easily because again, it's a very cheap material. If we look at the back, like you can see that everything is printed on, like including the gloves and the boots and everything, but you can also see that in the back, the hood is printed on. Like they didn't even make a hood, they just printed it on, and it looks like a weird cursed like face printed onto his back. Like it's not good. It's not good. The only like three-dimensional part of the costume is the belt, and there's just so much other stuff on his outfit that should be like a properly made piece instead of being printed on. I understand that they do that for like budgetary reasons, but like it looks really bad. It's not good even by like Halloween costume standards. I can bet you almost anything that this has a Velcro closure, so the Velcro is going to snap off really easily. The crotch dip's really low, so it's like not fitted well to the model. So just like everything about this costume just screams like bad and will not last. So I'm going to give this probably a 2 out of 10. I am not very impressed with it. Next we have this Yu-Gi-Oh! Halloween costume, which I do love that they went like all out for the eyeliner on the model. That's really on brand and really fantastic. I am not very well versed in Yu-Gi-Oh! So I need to look up what the actual character looks like, just to make sure I know what I'm talking about, but I don't know what I'm talking about in this particular situation. Okay, so the only thing that I can really see in terms of accuracy is that the belts are a little bit too thin. The belts on Yugi are actually quite thick. Aside from that, for what it is, it doesn't actually look too bad. What I am interested about is if the, I want to call it a necklace, but I know that people will yell at me for that, but I'm gonna call it a necklace. If the pendant of the necklace, do we call it a pendant when it's that big? I don't know. Don't come for me. The pendant of the necklace, it kind of looks like it's printed onto the shirt, and then the chain is like three-dimensional and just kind of sewn to that part of the shirt and then goes around. I could be wrong about that, but it does not look like that pendant is real. If that's the case, I do have to give them credit for creativity. Like that's a great creative way to like save costs when it comes to making this costume, but I don't think that it was really necessary. Like I feel like they could have made like a proper plastic pyramid shaped pendant. That was a lot of P's. They could have like maybe charged like a little bit more for the costume because there isn't a whole lot going on with the design as it is. So yeah, this one I'm kind of just lukewarm on. I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 10 just because I feel like I'm just like right down the middle when rating this. I don't really like sway either way. It's just kind of right down the middle, so 5 out of 10. Next we have Ochako, which is really bad. So similar to Deku, it looks like it's made out of that really spongy very unpleasant, cheap material, which again is par for the course with Halloween costumes, but like, it's just, I really wish, like, I feel like they could charge a little bit more and use a better material rather than use this same spongy, foamy material, because it's just, it's so gross. And when you walk, it like wrinkles a bunch, and it's very stiff and like, just not pleasant to wear. So, yeah, so that's clearly what this is made out of, and what it looks like they've done is they've just printed everything onto the bodysuit. They have a couple things that are three-dimensional, like the bracelets and the boots. I don't have as much of a problem with it as I do the Deku for some reason, even though they're pretty much like on par with one another. You could go either way. Like, you could say it's good enough for Halloween costume, or you could say it's like, it could be better. Again, I'm feeling kind of lukewarm on it, so I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10. Okay, next we have Sakura from Naruto. I am so tired and I can't remember things right now. What I will say about this costume is that it has the exact right shape that her costume has. Everything has the correct shape to it, and it gives the correct silhouette for the character, which is really important when you're putting a costume together. Last time I did this video, I looked at this Naruto Halloween costume, and the wraps were just printed on. And what I like about this costume is that it looks like they've actually like used proper fabric for the leg wrap and everything. Everything that is three-dimensional looks like it's three-dimensional, like that piece on the skirt, the little like thigh pouch thing. Everything is like properly three-dimensional instead of being like printed on, which I think is really nice. The only complaint I have about it is that it looks like it's made out of that one, I can't remember the name of the material, but it's like this polyester kind of squishy fabric. It's not the same as the foamy material that I keep talking about, but it's like, it's not like stiff, it's flowy. It still kind of has like a squishy foaminess to it, but it's like a free-flowing fabric. And the thing about it is that it pills incredibly easily. Like, you just breathe on it and it pills. That's really the only problem I have with this costume, is what it's made out of. But again, I understand why they went with that material. The other thing is that it would be really nice if the headband was made out of like metal for the metal part, or like a plastic would be nice, but it's just made out of like a pleathery kind of material. Not the end of the world in my opinion. Like, it doesn't negate too much from this costume. And it also looks like that zipper, I thought it was printed on, but that zipper is like a real zipper, so that's also really good. So I'm actually not too like bothered by this costume. As far as these Halloween costumes go, I think it's pretty well made and pretty faithful to the character, so I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Next up we have Balna. Again, this costume actually pleasantly surprises me. Like I said about the Sakura one, it has the correct shape to it, so it gives the right silhouette and everything. It's gonna have to probably be that same like spongy, stiff material that I keep talking about to like give it the shape that they need it to be. So that like isn't great, but like it has like a real belt buckle on it. The belt and like those big belt loops are actually sewn onto the costume. They aren't printed on, which is really nice. It looks like they actually, you know, put some care, I think, into putting this together, as much care as they could, you know, put into like a mass-produced Halloween costume. So I'm gonna give this one, again, a 7 out of 10. For what it is, I think it was well done. Okay, next up we have my least favorite out of all of these, and that is this sexy Deku. I just want to know who asked for this. Deku is a teenager, so it makes me very uncomfortable that they've decided to like make him into like a sexy Halloween costume. It just makes me really uncomfortable. I don't like that. So one element about this is that I don't know what that like white strappy thing is supposed to be, like whether that's attached to the bodysuit or whether the model's holding it. I'm just not sure what it's supposed to be, and it keeps distracting me, and I just like, I feel like these like elements of the costume should be very clear. At the same time, I'm not that well versed in Deku's design because I don't watch My Hero Academia, so maybe other people who are like really big fans of the show would be able to identify what that is, so maybe that's just a me thing, I don't know. As far as the Halloween costume goes, it's actually not badly made, honestly. It looks like it's made out of a metallic lycra, which is exactly what I would think this kind of thing was made out of. And the only problem with metallic lycra is that it's very hard to care for, because if you fold it and keep it folded for any length of time, lines will start to appear. So it's like a fabric with a metallic coating. So whenever something rubs up against it or whenever it gets folded, that metallic coating is going to rub off. It's not great for like if you want to use it long term. Just a regular lycra would be better for that because it doesn't have that metallic coating on it. But you know, as far as like a Halloween costume goes, if you're only gonna wear it a couple of times, and as long as you keep it like hung up or something, it should be fine. It's a very finicky material, so it's not great for like people who aren't like used to storing costumes. It is a material that you do have to have like some background knowledge of in order to keep it pristine, and people who are buying Halloween costumes might not know that. But everything else about this costume, like everything that's supposed to be three-dimensional is three-dimensional. Like those are real zippers, those like shoulder piece things are three-dimensional, the pockets on the belt are three-dimensional, the elbow pads are three-dimensional, and the gloves are like a proper like separate piece from the bodysuit. They aren't just printed on. Aside from it being a sexy deku, it's actually not badly made, it looks like. It's just not really gonna have that much longevity just in terms of like the material that they've used. So I'm a little bit on the fence. I don't know what to rate this. I'm gonna give it maybe like a 6 out of 10. I'm taking points away just because of the material that they've used. It's a little bit finicky, and the fact that it's sexy deku, and that makes me uncomfortable. But everything else about this costume is actually not that bad. So I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Last and certainly least, we have Tanjiro. And now you might just be thinking, why did you put this in this video? This is just a bathrobe. And to that I say, you are correct, but it is advertised as being a proper Tanjiro costume. Like it says anime Demon Slayer kimono costume for men. Like it's not advertised as just being a bathrobe. Like they're trying to push it as being like a Demon Slayer costume. Like they use the word costume. It's not even like built like it could be used for a Tanjiro costume. Like it's built like a bathrobe. Like it doesn't have the right sleeves for a Tanjiro cosplay. It has the like tie closure instead of just hanging open. Like this is a bathrobe through and through, and they're trying to sell it as something that you could use for a Tanjiro costume, which like you could, but it would be a choice. So I'm gonna give this a 1 out of 10. It's not even a kimono, it's a bathrobe. And those are this year's anime themed Halloween costumes. Honestly, they weren't as bad as I was expecting. There were some really bad ones last time that like I really like viscerally remember, but these ones were not nearly as bad. I think that they're slowly getting better, which is awesome for like anime fans who don't have the budget or don't have maybe like an interest in doing cosplay, but they still want to have like a nice Halloween costume. It feels like there are more options out there, which is really nice, and I really appreciate that. So good job, HalloweenCostumes.ca, except for the Tanjiro bathrobe. No. Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me today for the first video in Pandaween 2023. I will see you guys all in the next one, but until then, Panda Faces, please be sure to take care. Bye!